everyone. Now everyone can do what Paulus just did a second ago. Great. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here with us in real life. Thank you for those tuning in with us as well. This is a pleasure to be hosting this event about the Vinted Engineering Academy for you to know a little bit about how one can get into this area of expertise. So my name is Goda. I represent what we call the Future Careers team. This is really the team that falls under human resources, and what we do is really focus on entry-level program development, and the Engineering Academy is one of them. And I'm really excited today that we will get a little bit inspired with Alana, our Director of Engineering, and then you'll get a little bit more insights and information with Paulus, who's going to talk about the program itself. And we will close this event with a bit of a panel discussion with some of the people that are either participants or managers themselves in the program. We want to kind of finish up this event with you being, again, inspired, informed, and getting all the insights as possible to understand what we're trying here to do and see if that's really the program for yourself. And without further ado, I would like to invite the first speaker, which is Alana, and please come here.
Hello. I'm Alana, and for 3.5 years already, I am Director of Engineering here in Vinted, currently in matching, and as well helping platform domain. And my favorite job is when someone asks me, come and get people inspired. You know, that's the easiest part of the job. But I don't know if I managed to inspire you. But I was thinking, what I tell to myself back like 10 plus years ago when I was getting to the tech. So basically, let's start not from me, but about Vinted. A funny story happened, like I mentioned, I work in Vinted for 3.5 years. My mother is calling me and she says like, Alona, you work in Humana, right? Where? In Humana? Yeah, it's about second-hand clothing, right? And I was like, yeah, but Mama, actually we are a tech company. So basically my first message to you, I still try to explain that to my mom as well, that we are a tech company. And I receive a question time to time, why do you need so many engineers here? Actually, it seems like quite a simple business. But when you get into more detail, we have quite unique challenges in place. So basically we are not managing our catalog, our data on our own, because basically it's a user who fills in all the data, and we have multiple markets, and we need to understand how we match those users, and people give us different preferences, and we have to manage transactions, payments, shipping. We have many bad actors out there. When you become a big business, you are bad actors are becoming more and more interested to you, and that's why we need to have multiple technical solutions, because first of all we have to be reliable and users have to trust us. So basically it started just with make second-hand fashion first choice, but we are growing and we are more and more proving our impact in all the Europe. And fun fact that in Lithuania we're well known as, first of all, employer brand. On the other hand, I was speaking in conference in France this spring, and I started my speech like, how many of you happen to know what Vinted is? And it was such a laugh in the audience. It was perceived as a joke, like if I would ask who knows Maxima in Lithuania, because like apparently 80% of the people in France know who we are, and every third person in France used our service. So basically we are becoming more and more influential in France, and we're leading marketplace of C2C users, and we have huge order volumes, and there are like more than 3 million items uploaded every day to Vinted platform. So we need to make it easy for users to find actually what they are looking for. And what we see that we're changing the world as well. So we're making an impact, because more and more people, they avoid buying a new clothes, and they find something on Vinted. But apparently right now we are growing even further, and we are a little bit shifting our mission to make sustainable consumption first choice. What does it mean? That we are going as well into the shipping opportunities discovery to make sure that we can even further lower the shipping price for our users and improve our value proposition. And this comes with another a bunch of huge challenges which are very different in the essence. So basically how we look like from our team perspective is that we have 800 plus people working on product development, and we call it EPDA. That means engineering, product design, and analytics. In product domains, we are designed to work in EPDA structure, meaning that majority of our teams have all those roles, so we have them working closely all together. And on top of that, we have community support our members, of course, operations, marketing, research, business, management, and so on. And we are not just operating as a business in different countries, but as well we have multiple offices where we have our people helping us to deliver on daily basis. Like just in my domain, we have engineers working from Vilnius. And we are able to attract unique talents. So how we look like at a business, and coming back to my story. So basically, I was thinking what to tell you today, because it's very hard actually to inspire people. So I get rid of this challenge, and I was thinking in my head how I formulate myself a message is what would I tell to myself if I would get started just now. So that was probably my lessons or my insights. Maybe some of them will resonate to you and you find them useful. So basically, I am this is how I am known on the good day. I am mom, 3+ years in Vinted as director of engineering. Previously, I was working in other tech companies. I was doing some management consulting, leading agile transformations and so on. So many people approach me and ask to mentor them, and I used to mentor many ladies. But what I am as well is that on the bad day, I still feel that I know nothing. I am worst mom when I shout at my kid. I am worst leader who doesn't know anything about how to manage people. And I'm a loser. And basically, when I come to tech, I'm coming from project management, agile coaching perspective. So I'm not an engineer. And I was thinking that it's just my fear, the biggest fear, the nightmare, and the biggest voice in my head day to day. But then I started to talk to engineers, to architects famous in the market, to different directors, leaders, and they all have the same nightmare when they work in tech. Guess what it is? Is that they are not technical enough. So basically what I would tell to myself, and I keep telling, is that there is no such things most probably as being technically skilled enough nowadays, because there are so many technologies. There are so many new ways. Even in Vinted, if you travel from one development domain, product development domain to another one, we may use different technologies. And you may be very skilled in one technology and then come to another domain and realize that you have to learn so many new things. So basically, the things that you should not be ever afraid and think that you are not technical or skilled enough, because skills are the easiest to get. And that voice in your head that, like, do I feel like a fraud? What if they figure out that I don't know how to do the things? Or do I compare other to myself? It comes from imposter syndrome. And every person, almost every person in the world have it. So basically, some of the people come and ask me, like, how to get rid of that. So I will tell you a sad story. It never goes away, never, ever in your career. And it just means that you grow, that you take on the new challenge you never maybe used to take on before in such scale, and it's completely normal. And it never goes away, just it comes more rarely, and as well it passes by just quicker. But it's completely normal if during the journey you take on your career, doesn't matter in which stage of your career, it always will be there. So basically, just let it go. It's like a waves. At the beginning, they are very sharp and they are very frequent, and then they are smaller and not so frequent, but it's just natural process which happens in our brains, and don't lose the opportunity just because of the tiny voice in your head. Another thing which I realized that I always wanted to do better. I always wanted to do better, and it always seems that, well, it's not enough. Like, I'm 18 and I still don't know the things. I'm 20, I don't know the things, 25, 30, 35, and I'm still not there. And I realized that every time I compare myself to someone who is sometimes ahead of me in the same field. So the second lesson, which I encourage you as well to follow, is be realistic whom you are comparing yourself to. It's good to, in Lithuania, it's, lygintis ar lygiuotis. So in English it would be like, do you really compare yourself to other, or you aim to be like someone else? It's good to have a direction you want to grow, but it's bad when you just compare yourself and say that you're not good enough. And the thing is that why I love Vinted is actually that there is place for everybody. And to any strength you can make. And one of my character traits is that I'm quite emotional. And I'm very sensitive to the people feelings and how they feel and what system it brings. And my passion, actually, my mission as a leader, which I told to myself, is build a system and the workplace where majority of people can feel happy and fulfilled, and that they come to work with a purpose. So I'm getting very sometimes frustrated when I see the system which disturbs people to work instead of helping them. And when I came to tech, what I realized, so first of all, it was not hard to notice back then that there are not so many ladies. If you look at the management teams, even less of them. And when I was looking how men were dealing with emotions and with the decisions, they were very rational. So there were no like, I feel sad, I feel tired, and so on. I feel frustrated. It was super radical. I feel afraid. I feel not enough. There were many radical, quite openness and decisions. So I realized I have to be like them, and I learned to be like them. So I was very strict, very rational, no emotions aside. And then what I realized that I come home and I feel drained. I feel drained. I feel tired. I feel that I'm not really myself. And then when I tried to be the most rational, the most logical, the emotions stacked up. And then during the hardest moment, I think that for some of them, looking at the different, I look as a psycho when those emotions were finally getting out of the door. So what Vinted actually told me and taught me a lot is that I saw completely different environment. I see management team of men being super vulnerable, showing their emotions. I realized myself that actually there is place for me to be as I am, and that doesn't matter who you are in Vinted as a personality. Everybody's here and everybody's welcome, and that was make us strong. So one of wishes I wish I knew before that I can be myself, and that my biggest weakness is actually my strength. Because I don't know if you haven't noticed, but we love and hate people actually for the same things. So if someone tells you that you are very decisive, very stubborn, achiever, usually they will tell as well that you are an asshole and that you don't listen to people and you cut them off. If someone will tell you that, oh, you don't see the big picture, most probably you as well very attentive to detail, maybe sometime you're lost in them. If someone tells you that you are very good in communication, most probably on the bad day, you as well over-dominate and you are a poor listener. So instead of when someone is telling you about something which is your weakness or you have to improve, so basically most probably it's coming from your strengths as well. So instead of trying to kill some of your features, you should actually just work on the volume, because the music, when it plays too silent or too loud, can irritate people. But basically it's the same trait. So don't try to get rid of some of your weaknesses or lower your strength. Instead, just be cautious about the volume, and then your real talent comes up. And the last thing which I noticed in all my career is that every time I feel in the situation like what I'm doing there, I'm not technical enough, I don't know how to deal with the challenge, I don't know how to deal with actually anything here, I realized that I used to be in this place before, just on another floor. Because like, if in the team you have a person who irritates you, I'm quite sure that even like a child playing in the yard, in your company of friends, you had one kid who was irritating you. So you already dealt with that before. If you are making career change, again, most probably you used to do the changes or took on new challenges which were new for you, and you managed to deal with them. So every time when you're in a situation where you feel that it's completely new for you and you feel completely lost, I'm quite sure that you will find the situation previously in your life where you were in the same situation, in the same place, but just on another floor, and you already managed, so you will manage this time as well. So I hope that some of the faces I see today will become my colleague in the future. And I don't know how about Inspire, but just have a nice weekend, nice time today, and don't be too tough on yourself. Thank you.
That was definitely inspiring, at least from my end. So thank you, Alana, so much for that. Thank you for opening this event and getting everyone a little bit extra excited about what we're about to share with you. So without further ado, I want to invite someone really special, which is Paulus, who's our Director of Engineering, to talk engineering and talk about our super cool.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. So my name is Paulus, and I lead the program called Vinted Engineering Academy here at Vinted. And this is the program that you've read an ad for on the internet. Whoa, next. That you read an ad for on the internet and decided to come here and listen what we have to say about it. So what is Vinted Engineering Academy? Well, oftentimes I read on the internet that how can a young person or somebody, not necessarily young, but who wants to start a career somewhere, what are they to do? They've gained some skills, they went to university or some coding school or whatever else, but wherever they apply, it says X amount of years of experience needed. So where do you get that experience and how do you prove your mettle, prove yourself without actually having where to do the job? So this program is the answer, is where we can actually invite you and show you the ropes, show you how engineering actually works at Vinted. And how engineering works at Vinted is a pretty, I would say, a high bar on the world stage and world level, but if you learn it here, you can then take this knowledge and use it anywhere. So this is specifically for people who are just in the beginning stages of their career, who maybe haven't even yet finished university, or who finished some courses or something like that, that already has some coding skills, already can do some stuff that they're not just complete beginners, but who don't have working experience. And the program itself consists of 2 parts. The whole length of it is 1 year, but 2 months from that year is the really intense part. Is where we invite the selected people to Vinted. You join us as normal full-time employees, and you work together with other academy students on various projects that we select. You not only work on those projects, but you also receive mentorship from our experienced developers. You also have workshops and other activities with people who will introduces you to various technologies that we use here, beginning like from how to use GitHub in the best ways possible, and ending with how do you deploy something so that all of our users can reach it, how you build Android apps, how you build iOS apps, how you use Redux on web, and etc. All of this training is area specific. That means if you join us as an Android developer, an iOS developer, a web developer, or a backend developer. And some of the activities are going to be the same for everybody, because everybody needs to know what is infrastructure and how our servers are set up at Vinted, because it's knowledge that can be used by everyone. While other things are more area specific. So for example, if you're a web engineer, you will get several days of really intense stuff of I take a computer that has nothing on it, and now how do we make something that actually our users who live in whole Europe, and not just Europe and US, can use that. So this is the first 2 months. I promise it's going to be quite intense. We will expect everybody to be at the office most of the time. This is not like an online program or something like that. It doesn't mean that you have to be every day here. We know that you will be able to get an agreement with your team leads that maybe you take 1 day and you work from home or something like that. But in general, you have to be at the office. We are also opening up an office in Kaunas. So this year, for the first time, Engineering Academy is will actually have a team working in Kaunas. So I don't know if somebody is here from Kaunas and came to see us. If yes, raise your hands. If no, oh yes, there are. Cool. Awesome. And people watching online also know that because I think that a lot of people from Kaunas might be watching online. We'll have this program in Kaunas and in Vilnius. We will organize some activities for everybody together, so expect that maybe people from Kaunas will have to come for several days in Vilnius to participate in some workshops, or some people from Vilnius will all go to Kaunas to have workshops with our colleagues from there. So this is the first 2 months. It's going to be intense. From there, you will join your full-time teams that you will be working with in Vinted. Those teams that are actually working on stuff that our users use every day. And in those teams, it's going to be normal, intense work. Plus, part of the program is going to be your 10-month career development plan that Goda and other people from Future Careers team are going to help you with. It's going to include topics such as managing yourself, becoming a better learner, driving your own career goals, and etc. You can read it as the last 5 bullet points there. So in total, the program itself is 1 year. It doesn't mean that we hire you for just 1 year. No, we hire you as full-time employees. It's just that after the full year, the special support that we give to academy students end. You're all engineers, or you're aspiring to be engineers. You can now actually take out your phones and take a picture of this screen because this is going to be useful for you. This is most of the technologies that we use here at Vinted. Don't start learning all of it. You definitely won't need all of it from the beginning. But I will show you another slide where it says which area uses which technologies. Knowing these, you will be able to start actually learning yourselves, find some courses on it, and etc., and actually increase your chances of becoming an engineer at Vinted, even if you won't be able to come here at during this academy intake. As I said, this academy is going to include 4 tracks. Tracks is like a type of engineering that you do. Backend engineering, web engineering, Android engineering, and iOS engineering. Can all backend engineers raise their hands? That's almost like a third of you. Okay. I'm going to go back one slide. Can somebody tell me, pick 3 technologies that our backend uses and tell me? Who can do that? Okay. Well, to people listening online, she's saying that it's Python, GitHub, and MySQL. Sure, GitHub is used by all engineers at Vinted, and not just engineers. It's our code versioning system. That's true. Python is actually these days mostly used by data scientists, data engineers, and less, at least at Vinted, less by backenders. And MySQL is, of course, used by backenders. So let's say 1.5 out of 3. Who can give me one more? Also Ruby. Yes, Ruby. Ruby is the main language that we use here at Vinted. If you're a backend engineer, this is the language that you want to learn to work at Vinted. We also use Go in some domains and departments. Web, okay, do we have somebody who is interested in web development? Tell me, what do we use from web? JavaScript, React, what you said the last one? Yes, 6 probably, I don't know, might be. Yeah, so JavaScript, React, we actually use TypeScript, not like vanilla JavaScript. So learn about these technologies, know them, you will be using them when you join us. If you want to really start digging deeper, here are some answers already. You can, I don't know, take a photo, learn to find some courses, start reading about them. Okay, I will move out of the picture. Awesome. And if you actually want to learn more, because I just scratch the surface of what kind of technologies we use, how we use them, etc., go to vinted.engineering. It's our engineering blog. You will find a lot of useful information there on how we do things. Now about the academy applications and timelines and etc. So this is a general overview of what are the main dates and what you can expect during them. August 16th is the time when applications close. So if you, most people usually apply on the very last day of applications, and then we have a huge influx of people that we need to process. So if possible, please apply as soon as possible so that it's easier for us to manage. But yeah, applications closed on August 16th. Then another most important date for all of you is that the Academy begins on October 16th. This is when we expect everybody to be available and to be here at this office or in Kaunas office, wherever you will work. Here are some other dates and stuff that is going to be happening during that time, but I'm going to tell about it in the next slide. So we will do, you are all now filling online applications, you get a lot of questions there, and etc. When you fill in those online applications, the next part is going to be a process called Vinted Scenarios. You will receive a questionnaire, not all of you, but selected people who have CVs that we see that are good enough to go to the next stage. You will receive a questionnaire that we will ask you to fill in a few days. That will show us your general aptitude to go forward. After that questionnaire, the next part is going to be a homework assignment. You will receive homework assignments on August 26th, and the deadline for them is going to be September 2nd. It's about a week's time. You can already mark this time in your calendars. We will be expecting everybody to finish the homework assignments during that time. The homework assignment, how long does it take? It really depends on your skill level, but in general, budget a few days during that week that you can really give your focus and time for that assignment. The assignments are going to be specific to each track. That means that back-end engineers are going to receive a specific assignment for them. Web engineers are going to receive a specific assignment for them. The languages that you can finish the assignment on can be doesn't have to be necessarily in our stack, especially for backend. For web homework assignment, you do need to know JavaScript and actually finish the assignment in that. If you don't know that, August 26th is the date until which you can start learning and increase your skills in JavaScript. And after the homework assignments, we will invite all of you to an interview. An interview is going to be held by one of the managers here working at Vinted and one of the developers/mentors here working at Vinted. It doesn't mean necessarily that they are going to be your manager and your mentor, but just so that you know what kind of people you will be meeting. You will need to show your code during the interview stage. So be prepared to share your screen, be prepared to open up your code and know it, be able to navigate it. If they ask you something about your homework assignment or your code, be able to explain it and be really confident in what you did. Doesn't necessarily mean that it has to be done perfectly. Not everybody does all the homework. Some people do part of it, but do it really good. It doesn't mean that you will not be invited into the next stage, but be really confident in your decisions and be able to motivate them. If somebody asks you, why did you use this pattern here? Be able to explain it. Not just that I found it on the internet, but be able to give a reason of I chose this because of that. And after the interview, we will take several days to process everybody, and then we will send out invites for people to join the Academy on September 16th. So you will have a month from September 16th until October 16th when the Academy starts, and you already know that you're accepted. You will be able to read up more on the technologies that we use and etc. So this is the general gist of how it will work and what is going to be happening during the Academy. And do you... yeah.
No, please don't leave us. Thank you so much for the presentation about the Academy. And now what we want to do, we have around, actually we can even have 15 minutes, a little bit even more, for a few questions and answers from your end, as well live audience and online audience. So we actually have one pretty technical question from, I think it's Eduard. Yeah, do you want to read it out now for yourself and let us know what the question is?
Is it about Klaipėda?
No, no.
Oh, somebody's asking if we're going to be holding Academy in Klaipėda. No, we don't have an office there, at least yet.
It's the one above. Okay. There's a lot of abbreviations.
Why MySQL and not PostgreSQL? And no clear Java, only Kotlin. Why there is no Java, only Kotlin is because Kotlin is the language that Android is currently working on, and now we have migrated to Kotlin several years ago already, and all of our Android code base is based on Kotlin. When I say, and Kotlin is just part of our Android stack, and of our, actually somebody has test automation hackathon, so our test automation stack is also based on Kotlin, but it's not for backend, not for web, not for iOS. And about MySQL and PostgreSQL, maybe somebody from backend can actually help me answering this.
Yep, nope, yep, yeah, go ahead, take mic.
I can't answer it perfectly, but I guess it was a choice back then, 4 or 5 years ago, and we stuck with it because it's a good enough database. There's no actual specific reason, I believe.
Okay. Thanks. Do we have some questions from the live audience? And please don't shout because I'm very slow. Please go ahead.
So during this academy, you don't need people who know Python.
If you know Python, it's a small step to knowing something else. But in general, yes, we're looking for people who already has at least some knowledge in the tracks that we're looking people for, like in backend and web and etc. So I had a slide there which outlines which are the main technologies for each track. Python is not here. But if you like really, who do you want to be? Do you want to develop websites or do you want to develop backends for the sites?
I'm not sure yet.
That's why we're here.
That's okay. Think about it, find an answer. When you have an answer, you will know what to learn and where to guide yourself towards. There was somebody there
sure.
with a question.
Okay, there's a very high hand. Can you just pass the torch, please? Thanks. Okay. No,
Thank you for the torch. Hello, Paulus. My name is Jeff, and I have a very specific question. How many people you planning to accept to Vinted Engineering Academy?
23 people. I can give you an answer right now. I can't give you an answer of like how many backenders specifically, how many web developers, etc. This is a bit subject to change, but in general, most of the spaces currently in the academy is for backenders, and there are like several places for web, Android, and iOS engineers. Just to give you an idea of the selection process, and during the last academy that we held in spring and summer, we had 600 applicants into a very similar number of positions. So you can calculate the success rate from there. So the competition is quite tight and quite high.
we have a couple of questions online, so maybe you can read with Lena's computer.
Sure. Which ones? The last ones. Okay. Do you use for iOS development UI kit or Swift UI? Justina, do we use for iOS development UI kit or Swift UI? UI kit, the answer is UI kit. And another question, Agile style at its best. MySQL was good enough solution. Kudos. Awesome. Any chance to get into Academy if I'm a senior looking forward to become Go dev also? Can you ask that person, it's Edward Kagan, can you ask that person to clarify what do they mean by senior, in what area, and etc. But in general, this academy is going to be mostly focused on backend development with Ruby. We won't really have much spaces for Go.
I think there were some, yeah, thank you. Very slow.
Hi. Is it possible to apply to several positions at once?
Yes, you can apply to several positions. How the application, you saw there are several different ads in the application process. You can apply to all 4 of them if you want. The point is that we will be looking through the CVs of everybody who is applying. And from there, we will try to narrow down the amount of people that we are going to be sending out the homework assignments. So if your CV doesn't have like anything to do with iOS development and you apply for iOS development, likely you won't get a homework assignment because it doesn't show us that you will be successful in doing that. But if you have like experience in several areas, you might receive several homeworks. If you have a time to do them, go ahead. If you do them all good, then we might even give you a choice of where you want to
I was
enter.
thinking about web and backend because, yeah. And one more, if you could say from the last academy,
Yes.
is it so that the backenders are mostly in demand?
As I said, most of the spaces in the academy is going to be for backenders, right? But it's like 50% backenders and front end when we're calculating web, Android, and iOS together is the rest of the 50%.
So basically 11, 12 people for backend. Then.
Something like that, right?
Okay, thanks.
Do we have some more questions? Yeah, okay. I'm running. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jay, and one question I do have to ask is about the homework task. And what do you primarily look for in the homework task in terms of the software development?
Actually, when you receive the homework task, it's going to have pretty clear explanations of what you should do and what do we expect to see there. But you're all junior engineers. We really don't expect you to show the best like grasp of software engineering possible. We expect you to be able to demonstrate that you know the main software engineering concepts, like you can apply some design patterns to your work, that your code is clean code. Has anybody heard of this bookend principle? Use it, definitely. Yeah, we want to see that your code is clean, that it is working, that you can motivate your decisions of why you did something X way and not in Z way or something like that. And we want to see that you know what you're doing, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the best solution to the problem that there exists. Because the homeworks that you receive, they are also received by people who are like working 10 years in that area. Of course, we're going to be able to do them better, but we don't expect that from you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure. Do we have more questions? Yeah, we have quite a few. Okay, let's kind of go that way.
Hello, very short question. Are you planning to organize this engineering academy next year, or this is the last one?
I can't answer you that. We hope that we will have an engineering academy next year, but I'm not. But we're not saying that there is definitely going to be one.
Okay.
Hi.
Yes.
Considering that a lot of university students apply to these positions, and this is a full-time position, I wanted to ask if you offer any flexibility to maintain.
Yes. Yes. The lowest. In English, it's FTE, but you probably don't know what FTE means. I'll use Lithuanian word etatas. The lowest etatas you can have is 0.8, which means that you should be working 4 days out of 5, or you will agree with your lead, maybe you're working less hours each day, but you work 5 days, or you go like to some like an exam or something like that, but we will work with you to find a solution for that, but no less than 0.8 of full-time equivalent. That's what FTE means.
Hi, I wanted to ask about the timeline.
Yes.
So does it mean once I apply for Vinted Academy that I will receive the Vinted scenario and I will also receive a homework, or is it going to be like filtering out people
Filtering
after?
out. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. As I mentioned, we get a lot of applications. Sending out homeworks to each and every person would mean that we actually have to invest a lot of time to do those homeworks, and it's not fair even for you that if we can see from CV that you will probably not be able to do it correctly, that we ask you to invest several days of your time to do it. So it's like a funnel.
Hello. You mentioned that last year there were around 600 applicants, right?
Right.
So out of those 20 or so that you accepted, how many of them actually had no prior experience in the industry?
Good question. I would say more than half didn't have prior experience in the industry, but that doesn't mean that they didn't know. They were either university students and they had like coursework, or they had their own projects to show, or just courses that they did to improve their skills. Some had like some jobs, internships, or were working like for a year or half a year in other companies. So if you don't have like hard industry experience, it's fine. Don't be afraid to apply.
Okay, quite a lot already covered. And one extra question. During the interviews,
yes,
what are the main criteria for you to select people to go forward, to move on?
We have... Okay, let me think about how to best answer this question. I'm going to do it more in an inspirational way. We want to see fire in your eyes, that you want to become the best developer someday that you can be. But really, what we want to see is your engagement with the subject. Like if somebody, let's say we have 2 interviews, and one is a person who has been working somewhere for a year as a web developer, and they have been improving during that time, but they say to us, yes, well, I want to improve more, I want a job, and to get a salary, and etc. That's all valid reasons, but if somebody comes with almost no experience, but we see that that person lives and breathes web development, they can tell best blogs about it, they can tell what books they're reading and what they like from those books and what they don't like from those books, etc. That second person kind of has an upper leg against the first one, because we see that they have that fire in their eyes.
There's one virtual question from amazing assistant Lina.
Yes, the last one. And what would be the count of last Academy accepted iOS devs? During the last Academy, we had 2 iOS developers. I'm not saying that this is going to be the number for this Academy, but for last one, it was 2.
Hello, the same question. If I want to apply for mobile application developer, do I have to choose Android or iOS, or it's combined?
You have to choose. Developers in our teams that are working on iOS or Android development, they are working on either iOS or Android, but you can apply to both if you have relevant knowledge in both.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I want to ask if I want to apply to backend, and I am only practicing PHP and Laravel. What chance do I have to get the assignment and then proceed?
Okay, I'm not going to lie. Ruby is not the most popular language in the world. It's completely normal that people who are applying, they don't have much or at all experience with Ruby. That's actually one of the reasons why during the workshops that you will be receiving in the beginning, a lot of them are going to be focused on, for backenders, a lot of them are going to be focused on basics of Ruby. How do we start with Ruby? So, but of course, use that time until the homework assignments and etc. to improve your skills in Ruby. That's going to be much easier for you when doing the homework.
Do I have a chance to?
Yeah. Like, I don't know the number specifically, but out of the backenders from the previous academy, I'd say most of them didn't have Ruby experience. Some had, but definitely not all of them. Even not most of them had Ruby experience.
So PHP is normal.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
We have an extra cherry on top comment from Alana.
Yeah, just explaining senior people that if they apply in Vinted in backend, you don't have to be as well proficient in Ruby, so you can do homework in any language. And basically then we, of course, expect you to work in Ruby or in Go, depending on the team, but we do not require you to be senior Ruby engineer to apply to Vinted.
Another question?
My question is, since the deadline is on September 2nd for the homework assignment, what is the precise time of the deadline? Is it September 1st, 20 for that?
Look at this as a guideline. Like when you will be going through the process, there is going to be like September 2nd, 23:59 time written in the homework assignment itself. You don't have to now set a reminder on your phone that this is the deadline. I promise you, we will write you this in the email.
Yeah, so it's just these dates, just take, there might be +1 or 2, but September 2nd is Saturday, so most likely we will give you the Sunday as well to do it. And then on Monday, yeah, it would have to be returned, like, you know, that on Monday morning engineers come and the homework should be there with them. Probably, yeah.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Okay, I see one. I'm gonna go there. By the way, just as a reminder, we will have some time for networking, so in case you have a few unanswered questions later on, we're here to address them. Yes, who was that? Yeah.
I have a question. Why Vinted doesn't use React Native for mobile apps? Because I think finding React developers is a lot easier than finding Kotlin or Swift.
That's a good question, because we actually had investigations into if we should use React Native for Android and iOS. For those who don't know, there is 2 ways to build, 3 ways essentially to build mobile apps. You can use native development. That means that you can build an Android app with Kotlin, iOS app with Swift. There are separate developers for each of those apps, and they're essentially different apps. That's one way. Another way is to use some sort of framework where you write one app and that framework exports you essentially 2 apps. Flutter, I think, is one of those, or something like that. And the third way is to use React Native, where you essentially make an app that's sort of like a wrapper for a website, more or less, and then you have one developer building app for Android and iOS both, and you can update it without involvement from Google and Apple and etc. But during our investigations at that time, at least, we saw that the performance was quite decreased compared to native development, and we had already like a huge part of our code base done in native when React Native became popular. So it would have been a really big investment for us to change, combine that with some performance deficiencies in React Native. We chose to stay with native Android and native iOS. I hope that answers the question.
Is it okay if we approach Polis maybe later on? Because we have to move along with it. Thank you so much. So don't run away. Yep. I think we have a couple of online questions, so we want to give a chance for them to have a response from you. And big round of applause. It was really, really good. It was really good. I understood nothing. Okay, cool. So now the last part of this event with everyone online and live, we want to do a bit of a panel meeting. So I had always a dream to be a TV show host. No, I didn't. But we'll try to have a few people that went through this experience themselves or had a managerial role in the program itself. So with a round of applause, I would like to invite these amazing 4 people from the couch with the chair over here. Up, and I'm gonna grab another one. I'm gonna be, I don't know, channeling. Yeah, go ahead. This is your mic. It works, so I guess you guys can share it whenever a question comes up. So maybe we can start with a bit of a round of introductions. What do you do at Vinted? What do you do at the Academy? A little bit about yourself, and maybe you can start. Go ahead.
Sure. So my name is Martinez. I've been working in the software engineering industry for about 6 years, and the past 2.5 years has been in Vinted. As Alana, I'm working in the matching domain. I primarily focus on search, so making sure that both in the catalog and search the items you see are relevant to you. And yeah, that's briefly about me.
Perfect.
I started my engineering experience when I joined Vinted Academy as iOS developer. and now I joined Vinted team for a month already, I guess. So.
Yeah, my name is Thomas. So I also joined Vinted as an academy member, which started just before this summer as a back-end track. Now I'm in almost the same team as Martinas, and yeah, I guess for start that's enough.
Hello, my name is Justas. I work at Vinted almost 3 years. My career began 3.5 years maybe, so most of the time at Vinted. I'm an iOS developer and I was the academy team manager in the past academy.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So thank you for being here. That's the first thing. Welcome to my show. No, I'm kidding. So the first question actually go for the academics, how we call them sometimes. The decision to apply to the Engineering Academy, why did you do it?
Right, so I can begin this. So actually, a bit more of my backstory is that I finished computer science bachelor's previous summer. I'm also doing a master's, so I'm still kind of a student. During the bachelor's, I did 2 internships, I think. Yeah, 2 internships in software engineering. So I guess that's kind of relevant. Also a bit of a freelancing. But the thing is that I found internships in different companies very interesting. It was really nice to work with motivated and senior people. I felt that was a really good opportunity for me to grow. Freelance rather lacked this kind of thing. It was more of an isolated work for me. So essentially I made a decision that I'm going to look for opportunities where I can grow and excel faster. And the Vinted Academy seemed to be a really good choice for that.
Nice.
So that was my story.
What about you, Justina?
So as I am a self-taught developer, I really was looking for a job because I haven't went to any course, just online teaching myself. And I tried to apply for junior positions, but the requirements were so high. And like really, I passed even a resume stage. So I thought like academy is a good way just for a start, for career start.
Perfect. So actually, to kind of comment on what you just spoke about, question to Martinas and then later on to Justas, the difference between, you can grab the mic, I guess, the difference between applying to a junior developer position versus applying to Vinted Academy. So what would be the differences in the process? What would be the difference maybe in challenges or kind of tasks that you would have to do? Like, what would be the differences if you had to choose and evaluate yourself? Where should I apply to?
Okay, so I can't really speak for the whole Vinted. I can only speak for the back-end side. So when you're applying for a junior position, we already expect you to meet a certain amount of criteria. And I'm not going to say that we're pretty strict on it, but there's a certain threshold you have to pass to get invited for an interview. That is different for the academy. The task is different. It's, let's say, slightly easier, made for people that don't really have proper, I wouldn't say knowledge, but it's made easier so everyone could access it. And the evaluation is also not as strict. We're way leaner on the technical details. We're also looking at your motivation. So, yeah, let's say, if you have some experience or in general, I would recommend try applying for a junior position. Maybe you got lucky, you get a homework, you try to apply, you go through. If not, apply for the academy. Try to do both. The academy is easier. Something might work out. So.
Okay. What about you, Steve? Anything to add or disagree? Maybe I don't know. I'm kidding.
No, I generally agree. Not much to add. Probably, if you don't have work experience, then pick academy. If you have up to a year, then you have chances to get to a junior position.
Okay.
I myself joined Vinted at the junior position. I had maybe 9 months of experience.
Was that like internships and like professional work experience, or that was just professional at 9 months?
It was together with internship and then professional.
Okay, super cool. Now, another question for both of the academics, so I guess it makes sense for Damas to grab the mic. How did you find the selection process and how did you prepare, and any advice?
Well, I think well, general advice, I don't know if it really applies only with Vinted, but anywhere you're going to prepare, for me, it helps to imagine that I'm just, I don't know, submitting my letter to a black box. And there's 50% chance on me and 50% chance on some, I don't know, luck, some random things that I cannot control. So with that mindset, I prepare the best on my part. So maybe fine-tune the CVs to match the position that I'm applying. Maybe check portfolio and make a couple of changes at the recent project I've been working on. LinkedIn, fix the LinkedIn. People looking at LinkedIn, at least I think so. I'm not really sure. But yeah, so they do. So a couple of homework before do that. And for Academy, that might do the trick. If you have some things to show it, present it. And I guess this just increases the part that you can manage. Other than that, at each step, the chances increases. Just do your best. If you're really in a track that you think it's gonna suit you, or you think it's gonna be good for you, just show it, speak with people, answer their questions, and you'll do good. Justina, what do you think?
You're taking my job, Don. Go ahead.
I was actually preparing to tell how, for me, the selection process were. Like these Vinted scenarios part for me was super tricky, and when I read them, I thought like, what does it mean? Yeah, it was really hard. Like, but I guess just to be honest with myself was the only way to go with this. And then the homework was nothing what I expected.
A good or a bad way?
No, it was a good way, because I should say that everything I experienced during the selection process is now what I experience here every day. So I would say that that's a good way just to learn about Vinted, how we are managing, how your work will gonna look like.
Can you just a little bit, like, how do we work? Can you give an example what you noticed in the selection process and you kind of find that this is the culture of Vinted, maybe? If I put you on a spot, I'm sorry.
No, like I would say from my engineering part that what I didn't expect and never done when I was learning myself, just to read other code, just to, and now I do that. I could just write something. I have to read a lot.
Okay. Actually, I have a question for Doma specifically. When it comes to strengthening your profile, right? You've mentioned you freelanced in the past. Can you share how did it go? What are other ways that you can enhance your practical skills and your profile? Like, what could be extra things that you can, glitter the profile? Yeah, exactly, kind of the Salt Bay vibes.
Well, for the freelance, I think that was the peak, the apex of my experience, but I would like to roll back a little bit back. Essentially, as I said, I did a bachelor's in computer science. I was really interested in that, I would say, from the beginning, so that might be different for a lot of people, and that's fine. There are different tracks, as Justina said, different ways and different people here, so that's totally fine. But specifically for me, it was, starting working on a project that I'm interested in. I think I even, at some point, was interested in how the messenger works, so I just literally found a YouTube video which explains how to make an Android application on that. Spent a couple of weeks, debugged some things and made it work somehow. It's terrible. I think it's still in a GitHub somewhere. It's terrible, but at that point in time it was amazing, like a huge thing. And there are other things, other apps. But I think now, as I reflect back, I think the biggest learning was that, you just kind of worked on those things. You had some errors, you had to debug some things, you have to approach the problems in different ways. And these things are still relevant today. I'm doing this, I don't know, as a backend engineer now at Vinted. I still have problems. They are just different, but I use similar methods to debug them, maybe approach the problem. So in general, for me, just if you like what you do, or you think you might find like what you do things that may be interesting for you at the moment. There is a high chance that some of those skills will be reusable. So in my case, that led me to the freelance, where I then kind of found myself a limit to some extent, and then decided myself that I need a new environment, new place, new challenge to grow, these kind of things. But for you, it's just that learning, those experiences that you later end to get might really save you in interviews. They will really have to share something. And I guess, I can't really speak for the managers and people who are hiring here, but I think if you can, speak with passion what you did, or show why these things work for you and what kind of problems you had and you overcome them, that's definitely going to be a bonus. So that's on my side.
Thank you. And actually, a question for the managers, right? So Damas just shared that, he comes from a background, computer science, that kind of stuff. So we often see that when it comes to entry-level engineering positions, we have people that either come from this, let's say, linear career. They studied something similar. They've done some internships, maybe freelancing gigs, and they ended up being juniors or a part of the academy. And then there's another group of people that switched careers, whether they, there's a million things that you probably can do and then switch for many reasons to another area. So I would like to ask first Justas, what kind of differences do you see between these two people? Because I'm sure that there's a lot of, struggles or worries about someone switching and being brave to switch a career. What would be the differences, would you say, when working with these type of juniors?
I think that university gives you a more broad perspective to programming.
Okay.
Like, you don't usually, when you're switching, you don't get into computer architecture and low-level stuff. You just focus on, for example, if you're switching to iOS, then you take a Swift course and you learn to program in Swift. Well, university gives you a broader perspective, but for junior positions, I think that it's enough to only take the course, and switching is perfectly fine. And usually people who switch, they have previous work experience in other fields, which also prove useful in other forms.
Okay, cool.
Martinez, do you have anything?
Pass the torch.
Something I noticed from the mentoring perspective is the people coming from, let's say, a different sphere, they tend to be more, let's say, self-critical. I'm not exactly sure why, maybe because they were kind of used to knowing their abilities, what they can and cannot do. And when you go to a new sphere, you expect usually, you expect that you're gonna, let's say, do a certain task in a certain amount of time. And that does not always happen because it's a new sphere. Vinted is quite huge. There's a lot of, let's say, not only you need to learn programming, but you need to know the intricacies of Vinted. And that doesn't always end up, happening as people planned. So they tend to be more harsh on themselves. I don't have a big sample. I only led 3 people, but one of the things that I noticed was this. And in general, that everyone tries to get everything right on the first try, which, with programming, and especially when you're learning, it's pretty hard. So yeah, just don't be harsh on yourself.
Okay, that's real good. Thank you. And Justina, actually someone who did shift from another career. Can you tell us a little bit what did you do before, and tell us when did you decide to switch? How did you decide? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So before switching and working here, I was working as video operator in drama theater for almost like 10 years. So, but I decided that I want to learn something, and programming was something that I forgot that I really liked in school. And I still have a friend. He just super lightly suggested me to try iOS development. Well, yeah, he had just gave me this slight idea that I can go there because it's possible to learn by yourself. And he gave me a book, which I started to read, but it was super hard and didn't get anything from it. But I found a video course in Udemy for 12 euros, and I thought, that's a small amount of money. I could just give a start for something to do. But as Martina said about these people who switch, he was everything was really right about me as well, because also I know that in video, video technician and stuff. I'm so good at it. Like, I know everything. I'm so professional. And now just I'm going to a field where I feel like a kid. I don't know anything. I just, it's so bumpy. Like, I just fall in every small step and I have to just learn, just stand up, and try again, just fall down and...
What do you think keeps you going? Is it the fact that you really like what you do? Because it does take a lot of struggle to keep kind of failing and getting back again.
Yeah, I think that actually, I think that what actually made the struggle go away or mute a bit was that I really enjoy programming. I mean, every time I just, on a failure, I was like applying and went to some company and I went through all stages, and then in the last stage where I had just interviewed, they said, sorry, we're not gonna like give you a chance to join our company. I was so down. I just didn't do anything for a month. But then I thought, like, I was having a conversation with myself, like, but I like programming. Just like try to sit, watch a YouTube video, like you can do nothing, just watch. And I just sat for 20 minutes and oh my God, yes, it's so interesting. So I guess the best part is when you're unlucky, just try to, without any push that you need, maybe just I like it.
Okay, thank you so much, by the way. That was great. Dom, I have another question for you real quick. I know that you're basically the ambassador of the restaurant at the office, that you're a big fan of it, but what are other perks and what do you like about working at Vinted? Obviously besides the workshops and the academy, what are maybe some things that would like to emphasize that might be surprising for someone that might not know? Like flexibility of working or anything like that?
I don't know, that sounds a bit of a praising of this place, but if being honest, there are a lot of perks in Vinted for sure. I'm like a bit of an ambassador of the restaurant because it's really good. We have breakfast there, we have lunch, we have this Lithuanian thing called suralis every morning. So, I mean, from the food side, it will be covered. I don't know, we have a gym, if you love that. Gym, have workouts, that kind of stuff. Love to ride a bike? Not a problem. We have a place that you have to come with a car, not a problem. We have a parking. And then many, many other things. I don't know. I think today it's better to focus on how to make and get in there, and then let's, leave some of the surprises for you when you're actually going to come. Because it's going to be even more exciting.
That's really good. Thank you. So do we have any questions, by the way, from the audience? We have still a little bit of time, but obviously we will have some networking time as well. So, oops, well, that's great. Okay, going once, going twice. Yeah, we have a question. And to whom, if you may specify?
Okay, thank you. I have a question for Justina specifically. So, as a person learning on your own, how did you feel that it's time to look for a job? Because as we mentioned before, the field is like endless and you could continue learning and still don't feel like stacked enough. So how did you know that it's time? Thank you.
Well, actually, I was sending resumes for a year when I get the job because I didn't know when is the time. So I was just trying every time, like I see the open position, I just try it.
If anyone else from the panel wants to add on that, feel free.
Just a quick note, my first internship, I think I applied to maybe 50 plus companies, got maybe 5 interviews, and then second round interviews were only for 2 companies, and the one company that I actually went in with my first internship, it was after 5 stages of interviews. So sometimes it takes time, but if you do it, as Justina said, constantly, you probably at some point will get in somewhere, so just do it.
Nice. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Over there. Just throw them. No kidding.
I just wanted to ask the academy participants about the interviews both you have at the beginning. How was it? How good was your code? what Vinted was looking for in your code, and just in general, a few sentences.
Okay, so the question, how good was my code? I still don't know. I mean, I just applied. For me, at that point in time, I thought to myself, well, this is as good as I can do. There are a couple of reasons why I made maybe some choices where I could maybe have others, like other choices, you know, keep it in my mind. And actually, it was useful. We had some, I don't know, when I applied with the people that were sitting on the other side of the screen, why you did one way or another. And then I kind of explained my decisions. So maybe that was the way. Other than that, I'm not really sure. Maybe Justina has other good tips how to get in. Because for me, it was just, I don't know, I did from my part as good as I can. I tried to explain what I did. And then if you had any questions or comments, I just tried to explain my opinion. So for me, it worked. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know.
Maybe if the managers, also Justina as well, but maybe managers have, if you have anything to add, if you've noticed like, the differences, what is
I was
good and great?
actually about thinking that managers should know better, because I don't know if my code was good also, as Doma said. I mean, but it was interesting. I actually liked the interview part really well. I mean, it was a part when I met my possible future colleagues, and I felt so good. And I thought, I want to work here. I want to work with these people, because I felt like really, I don't know, that this, that you talk about code, but you talk in a way that you try like together, maybe just discussion, having a discussion. Nothing like there is a right way or is a wrong way. Maybe we try together, find the best way.
That's a good one. Anything to add, Martini? You stay?
Okay, if I had to give some basic tips, follow, I don't know, as Paulus mentioned, follow the clean code. Don't name your variables X, Y, Z, which makes your code more difficult to read. Keep it simple, solve the problem. We're not going to be very picky, oh, he didn't use classes or polymorphism. Sometimes over-engineered code makes it hard to read, and if it's really hard to read, it's not very good code. So keep it simple, don't try to overdo it. When it comes to variable naming, try to be clear. Don't be afraid to, let's say, specify. If you want to say discount, let's say discount rule, don't go discount R, just type it out, discount rule. Pretty simple. Easier to read, easier to review, looks better overall. So yeah. Anything to add, Stinas?
Of course.
Not much, but fun fact, I was interviewing Justina.
Oh, tell us all about it. It's way more interesting.
I don't know, she did okay, and now she's here. Yeah, so...
That's the tip.
Do your homework like Justina.
Be like Justina. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Please.
These days, code can be wrote by ChatGPT. Is it okay, or what do you think about that?
Well, it's important that you know what you read, what you wrote on your homework. So that's what we check during the interview. But yeah, there's no way for us to not let you use ChatGPT. We use ChatGPT in our work, so I think it's fair.
Fair point.
But yeah, you have to know what's in there.
Yeah, one question. Well, basically, all the newbies are coming to the academy, so the technical skills are pretty much similar, more or less. So I guess that during the interviews, the soft skills are the important ones, or maybe during the interviews, managers could see like what kind of people are applying. So about the soft skills, could you tell what is most important, what you are looking for, and so on? Thanks.
Sure. Do you guys want to start?
Yeah, I can start. during the interview the first half is about not mainly soft skills, but it's about your values, how you fit into Vinted. So this part kind of covers and the soft skills. So yeah, but what we're looking for, Martinez, maybe.
Okay, I wouldn't say they're specifics, but the questions are in the area of, let's say you were working on a project A and you encountered a challenge. How did you solve it? What was the challenge? How did you approach it? Why? It's just more or less to understand the way you think and how you approach, let's say, certain problems. How do you interact with people when, let's say, you have a conflict with a colleague? How do you solve that? You see a colleague struggling, how do you approach him? Like, in general, there's no right or wrong answer. It's more or less to understand how you're thinking. And yes, soft skills are important, but we also have a technical part, so we do both.
There you go. More questions? Okay, over there.
Hey. Question probably for Martinez. So if I'm right, here like couple backend teams like payments, trust, or etc. And after the academy, on what's the process that the participant is chosen for certain team? Are they doing like participant can go by himself or he's chosen? What's the process? Thank you.
How the track allocation happens, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for your question. To give it briefly, there's a lot of moving parts. So for example, when you join the academy, you get a mentor, you work on a certain task, and that certain task usually falls into a certain domain. So is it payments, is it transactions, is it search? Usually that has some influence on which will you land. Because after the academy, you receive feedback from your colleagues, from your mentors, from your engineering managers, and after that feedback is gathered, people that are looking academy students to join their teams, they review your feedback, and based on that, they usually ask for extra, information, usually from the people that work in the same domain. So let's say if I worked in matching and someone from matching wanted to hire an academy student, they usually would just ask me, okay, how do you value that student? How do you value that? Is it a good fit? I saw they did that and that. Would it make sense for us to take him into the team? So yeah, usually it depends on which problem you work, and yeah, but it can be randomized.
And to be clear, you say after academy, so you mean after 12 or 2 months?
2 months.
Yeah.
Okay, and the second one, so the English, I think it's daily language, yeah, in all the meetings and stuff, yeah?
To be honest, it depends. If we have someone that's English speaking, yes, it's mandatory. English only meetings. Yeah, in the room, in the offices, you speak English. But if, let's say, the whole team is Lithuanian or in Germany, German, it's fine to speak in your native language.
Maybe I can just add that, like the official company language is English, so all of the internal communication that goes out is all in English. And even out of the academy group of the spring, I think there were like 4 or 5 non-Lithuanian speakers, so just kind of on top on that. Do you have any more questions? Lots of steps, Lina, for you today.
Yeah, I wanted to say sorry for making you go such a big distance. So yeah, my question is, can you maybe give an example? What is the lowest threshold, what you should know to get homework? To pass application stage.
Okay. That's difficult because there's no set threshold that, let's say, someone has, let's say, done or written X amount of code lines. I guess if you want to receive homework, if you want to stand out, at least one of the main things that usually help people is having something in your GitHub. If you send an application, you add your GitHub, we find something that you've written, and we know that you've written actual code, it has a README file how to run it, that's amazing. That's something that we definitely look for. I don't know. Justin, do you have anything to add?
Paulus wants to comment? I actually wanted to say the exact same thing. Paulus wanted to say the exact same thing.
Do you want to say the exact same thing as well, Justus?
Repetition is key.
Yeah, I just want to say the same exact thing. What you have what you have coded with your hands is the best proof of your experience. Usually that's what we look for. You can have coding school or you can be self-taught. It's just the way how you learn to code, but you have to prove your knowledge.
Nice. Maybe one last question. Okay. I think, yeah.
One more. For the managers, did it happen that you had to reject the application because the participant is overqualified? I mean, maybe somebody is coming with 2 years experience or something like that.
I think we would send them to a more senior, probably, position.
Yeah, I don't remember such incident, such occasion happening, but yeah, it would be logical. Like if a person of 2 years of experience and portfolio would apply to academy, we would say you should try junior position or even mid.
We had a bit of a different experience when we also have a summer internship program, and we've got a few developers as well. So one person actually was a little bit too advanced for the internship program, so we proposed them to join the academy. So at least, you know, that kind of jump does definitely happen. Cool, that was a great question. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Oh my God, now I have to stand up. Okay, go ahead.
These were very nice answers, but like, to be real, if let's say you're a web developer who's been coding for 5 years and you're applying to a junior position that is academy, why? Like, what have you been doing for that 5 years? Doesn't bode too well for your chances. If you are like, let's say, I don't know, a backend developer and you're looking to change your area and you want to become a web developer or an Android developer or something, then it's fine to have larger experience, but to try to become a junior in another field. But if you have that experience in the same field, then why? Why are you already not mid or senior? This is going to be a question that we ask ourselves. So, yeah.
Cool.
But 2 years, that's okay.
That's okay. Okay, so we already have 5:31, so which is basically the end of the event, as we promised. So for those online, we are very excited that you logged in. Thank you for being with us today. And for those that are with us for at least an hour or half an hour, what we propose is that we stay here. If you see an orange band, which just means that it's someone that could answer maybe a question or two if you hadn't had the chance or maybe felt a little bit shy, things happen. So we're here to answer any questions. And what else? If you do want to get some sort of updates whenever the next academy opens or a summer internship opens, you can definitely join the talent pool and we keep you posted. And that's no spamming, I definitely promise. So thank you so much for being here. Get a round of applause for yourself and everyone that joined us from Vinted today. Yeah. Thank you. No,